Shalom, shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I want to give all praise, honor, and the glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakar Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, bishop, and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. And peace and blessing be multiplied on all you brethren out there teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the 144,000, and the rest of the elect out there. I'm the brother Damal Gabar, here with another lesson, Lord willing to edify through the spirit and power of Yahweh Yahweh Shai. All right, and I found this article from The People's Voice titled, Experts Fear Virus with 70% Mortality Rate Could Spark Disease XP. And this has been something that's kind of been out of the news lately. You haven't really been hearing about, these viruses and, sicknesses and P's and lockdowns because, they're using their other tactics. A lot of these, political uprisings, civil war is high in the conversation. You see a lot of people, this whole political shenanigans taking place where people are not really focusing on these lockdowns through these viruses and sicknesses, So it's kind of like they can creep it up in there and slide it up in there amongst a lot of the other distractions, But I noticed this is something that hasn't been talked about in a while. And one thing we know for sure is that this is something that, these elites are not going to take off the table. This is another way for them to bring in this new world order, another way for them to lock things down, and another way for them to, stoke chaos and fear and calamity and, bring in their D-pop agenda. So I thought this was kind of interesting when I saw this article because immediately, like I said, this has kind of been out of the news as of late. People, excuse me, haven't been really talking about this because, they have these newer distractions at the forefront, the Epstein shit and, this Trump administration. Trump is running around like a damn madman, cussing out the UN. You had this Captain Kirk situation. You got all of these mass shooters, the huge attack on the far left, all of this talk of, homegrown terrorism. I just saw an article earlier where allegedly 3 Muslims shot some white soft t-ball coach or some shit in Texas mid-prayer. So we're living in the times of a homegrown domestic terrorism, and all of these goddamn stories about Charlie Kirk. Is it true? Is it real? People are taking that down all these damn rabbit holes. So people are really distracted with all of this civil war and black versus white, the left versus the right, Trump using the executive orders to deem Antifa and other, homeborn, individuals here in America as terrorists. That's really the focus that they want everybody's attention on. But I know that stuff like this is, it's kind of out of the news right now because everybody is looking to the left. But this shit right here is still something that needs to be discussed and talked about. So let me get this. I'm trying to get to this as quickly as possible. But let's check this out. Remember, it says 2025 is starting. Bill Gates announces the next P date and outbreak lockdown. And this video is from 2 years ago. But we're going to check some. I'm going to play a little bit of this, but we know we got to check this out because remember, you can't be ignorant of anything in a small case or a big matter. And you got to constantly be up on it and knowing that, hey, nothing is off the table as far as these elites and what they're trying to accomplish. They have many different avenues and lanes in which they're going to bring chaos. They're going to bring, pressure from below, pressure from above, pressure from beneath. And they need all of these forms of chaos. All of these things have to be going on at once to keep you people pretty much discombobulated, not knowing whether you're coming or going, being constantly bombarded with distractions and deception and sorcery and witchcraft and lies and this and that, to where, you're basically just, your head's just spinning. You just don't know what the hell to believe. You don't know where to look. You don't know what's real. You don't know what's fake. Constantly keep you in this constant state of just delirium, I guess, But as we know, hey, ultimately what this devil is trying to accomplish. And we know, again, we're not out of the woods yet as far as them bringing another P or outbreak lockdown, So let's check this out.
Pandemic tabletop exercise in Belgium. It's called the catastrophic contagion. Hey, honey, where are you going this weekend? I'm going to Belgium. I got a conference. Oh, yeah, what's it about? It's called the catastrophic contagion event. Oh, what are you guys going to be doing? Oh, we're just planning the next pandemic. Just getting everything ready.
You see what he said? We're planning the next P. And remember, not to say that, a disease X or one of these outbreaks or these, viruses are not real. They are very real. But the thing you have to understand is that they're not just, they're controlled. They're being created. They're being, created in these laboratories and spliced and twisted and made to be more deadly, more highly infectious. So it's not that these diseases don't exist and they're not real things. They're not going to, infect people and not kill people. But what you have to understand is that it's being controlled. They're being created by the powers that be and then released on people and being made to seem as if it's just some, random virus that got created when the wrong bat met the wrong pig or whatever. They'll give you the whole spiel about, how they think it came and why it mutated the way it is and why it's so highly infected. Now, again, you have to understand that these things are being created. It doesn't mean that these viruses aren't real, that they don't exist and they won't kill your ass. It's just that it's being orchestrated, it's being controlled by, the powers that be on the left hand and secrecy, being made to seem as if, they're naturally occurring or that it's something that they've been preparing for. Or you have to think how they, the only way that they can prepare for it and tell you that these things are coming is because, obviously they're in control of it. They're creating it. Okay.
Get everything ready, locked up, and the new virus and vaccines. We'll have vaccines ready to go because that's how we do this. We plan it, and then we, of course, have the vaccines ready to go.
Right. It's like, here it is. They're telling you that, we believe something very deadly is coming. But then again, it's supposed to be, naturally occurring. It just happens to randomly pop up. But then at the same time, they already have the vaccine in place and already created for it. I mean, come on, you can't be that goddamn stupid. But this is how this devil operates, and through his media and through his sorcery, his witchcraft, through his lies and manipulation, he's able to, fool a lot of the fucking people. Because like I said, because these people are being so psychologically operated on, their minds are all bugged out. A lot of these people are on, they're highly over medicated. Their mental health is not the best. These people are bugged out. They're crazy. So a lot of them are, basically, they'll believe anything that they're told, especially if, they're afraid enough and they think, like I said, if they're afraid enough and if they perceive that it's doing what the powers that be is saying is doing, a lot of these people will buy it hook, line, and sinker, man.
So this is the video that Bill Gates put together along with the team, complete with simulated news reports like this. This is really what they're preparing for us. This video is called Get Ready. Watch. Catastrophic contagion, a global challenge. Breaking news.
Two Latin American countries alerted the WHO of several.
And you see, this whole simulation is not real. They're creating it. It says a fictional scenario. So it's like they're already pre-scripted this shit. They already had it created and put in place. So when it's time for them to run this play, they're just going to have real, it says GNN. They're going to have real CNN, speaking about it. They're all of their mainstream news media outlets talking about it. They're already being prepped and given a playbook to run so that they can use this to deceive the people. Now, again, I don't mean that the disease or the infections are not going to be real. They'll be very real, and they're going to kill real people, and they're going to infect a lot of people. But it's all being orchestrated and controlled so these devils can, get the desired result and get this new world order in place. And basically to have you people in a position to where you'll be so afraid you'll do whatever the hell they'll tell you to do. You'll take whatever they tell you to take. And eventually, they'll have the upper hand over you.
Outbreaks of a new infectious disease that's mysteriously appearing across the region. Severe epidemic.
Look, and it's called seers. Now, in the scriptures, that's what prophets used to be called. Before they were called prophets, they were called seers. Now, this devil is using this word term SEER, Severe Epidemic Enterovirus Respiratory Syndrome 2025. And that's unique, and that's fitting, right? They call it a SEERS because what? They're telling you before it happens what's going to happen. You know, it's like they're bringing to pass their own self-fulfilling prophecies, man. And this is why they got Bill Gates saying, well, there is going to be another one. You know, it's not a matter of when, it's a matter of if, because they're orchestrating it. They're creating it. They're putting it in play. You see?
Enterovirus Respiratory Syndrome 2025.
Oh, so that's the name, guys. Just write this down. That'll be the name of it, okay? It's going to be SEERS. It's going to be called the Severe Epidemic Enterovirus Respiratory Syndrome, and 2025 is when we'll see it. Okay. Now it says at the bottom this is a fictional scenario, but come on.
Over the past 6 weeks alone, there have been 500 confirmed or suspected cases reported. The virus could cause a severe pandemic if early containment and mitigation efforts are not successful.
The pandemic.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to share. I didn't want to go through the whole goddamn video, but it said 2025, right? Now look at this. Experts fear virus with a 70% mortality rate could spark disease. Let me get a precept real fast, man. Like I said, it's not going to be a long lesson, but hey, we're in these times. This is Psalm 64, verse 2. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. It says, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not, right? You know, and that's what these devils do. You know, behind closed doors, they come up with all of these situations and they do simulations, you know, they plan them out. You know, they converse in dark meetings and different, you know, in Davos and different locations to conduct meetings about when would be the right time to do this. You know, they consort with their soothsayers, their witches. They go into gematria. They look at the aligning of the stars and the planets to try to figure out when's the right time, or when's the right time to do these particular things. You know, they consult to their pagan gods. You know, they do sacrifices and different things of that nature to try to figure out when's the right time to bring these different scenarios upon you people, so that they could you know, bring in this new world order, man. It says that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. I read that one. It's like verse 5. They encourage themselves in an evil matter, and this is an evil thing, man. All right, this whole seers, you know, what these devils are trying to pursue, what they're trying to do, is all evil and wicked, and it's all being done to, you know, to destroy you average everyday people out there. You know, and they don't give a damn how many people this shit kills, because what? They have a deep op agenda. They know, according to their agenda, that it can't be done basically with 7 billion people on the planet Earth, man. All right. In order for them to be highly successful, they have to get rid of a lot of you people. And what better way to inflict, you know, to decrease the population is by releasing something of this magnitude. And then play it off as if it's just, you know, something that we knew was going to come. We didn't know when. Now it's here. And oh, my gosh, you know, and now we got to do what we got to do to save the rest of the people. But it's going to come with all these different, you know, things and this and that nature. It's all wickedness at the end of the day, man. Excuse me. It says they encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? You see? And this whole contagion thing is nothing more but a snare and a trap. And they're, you know, banking on you people being ignorant and not, being ignorant and not ever linking these particular situations to these elites, to it being orchestrated, to it being controlled and planned by the powers that be. You see? And this is why they're trying to get, you know, lock down our free speech. This is why they're trying to, lock down the internet and YouTube and, you know, basically deem everybody a fucking homeborn terrorist because of your ideological rhetoric or what you're saying online, so that when they do bring shit like this, there's not going to be any voices to expose it or to come out and tell you that it's all bullshit, man. You see? So it's very evil and it's very wicked, man. So it says the WHO experts are now warning that another pathogen capable of inflicting far greater devastation than the C19 could be lurking in the shadows. See, and they can't say that unless they know. Because like I said, it's all controlled. It's all within their powers to do so. It says these so-called experts believe that the CP served merely as a warning shot for what lies ahead. Disease X is a name that the World Health Organization has given to an unknown future pathogen with potential to start a severe global epidemic. To understand where this deadly global pandemic might be coming from and what steps are being taken to prevent it, Dr. Chris Van Tuliken made a documentary for the BBC called Disease X, Hunting the Next Pandemic, where they're not hunting it, they're creating it. So it can make it seem as if they're hunting it, but we know better than that, all right? It says he participated in a daily briefing at WHO's Geneva headquarters with specialists across Africa, Asia, and the Americas, all providing updates on regional disease outbreaks that could potentially trigger more extensive damage. Several of these possess terrifying fatality rates. One avian flu outbreak in Vietnam, for instance, recorded 129 confirmed infections, yet has already resulted in 65 fatalities. The organization has highlighted numerous yellow fever cases, particularly across Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru, where 56 out of 144 cases proved fatal. Dr. Margaret Harris revealed that the WHO continuously tracks potential dangers globally and outlined the disease that especially concerns specialists. She stated Ebola, Marburg, influenza, and all coronavirus, but probably the most importantly, there's disease X. And what does X mean? Unknown. They don't know what it is. Yeah, sure. That's what they want you to believe. But like I said, we know at the end of the day, they're cooking this shit up, chefing it up real nice, which we saw with Fauci and what he was doing, which is why he had to be presidentially pardoned. All right. When all the facts came out and he was able to scurry off into the fucking shadows wherever he's at. It says Disease X is a term that we coined in 2018 to describe an unknown pathogen, one with the potential to cause a serious global P. Whilst the Ovid started as a Disease X, she explains, it's not the only one. See? Yeah, a village in Malaysia was destroyed by an outbreak of the virus in the 1990s after the disease spread from pigs to their unknown keepers. And they made a movie called Contagion, which was very similar to that. Let's keep that in mind, man. So like I said, man, you can't believe anything that comes out of these individuals' mouth, man. And we know for certain that a lot of these things are created. A lot of them are in the control of these powers that be, of these different organizations, And they wouldn't call it a seers unless they knew in advance, man. And they wouldn't be able to tell you about it unless they had previous knowledge of it before it happened, What else? I don't want to read all this shit. But the point being is that, hey, then they say 2025 in that video. They said 2025 would be a time where this thing would pop up again. And now what? We're in the end of 2025. And like I said, while everybody is all distracted with all the other bullshit going on, people have forgotten about that previous lockdown. That's not something that's on people's mind. People have, totally forgot about that shit while they're being constantly bombarded with other distractions. Hey, they could pull this right from left field somewhere pretty soon. All right, this is Ephesians 6:10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of the Most High, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places, you see? And that's what we're dealing with, these higher up elites and their warlocks and their witches and their sorcerers and their deception, their AI, their CDCs, their Center for Disease Creation, all these different agendas and plots and schemes and snares and traps, It says, wherefore take unto you the whole armor of the Most High, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, having done all to stand. Therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplates of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace, above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith you shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of the Most High. Okay, because this is ultimately all we have at the end of the day is the armor of the Most High against all of this wickedness and sorcery and evil. These diseases, these sicknesses, all the inner workings of this damn devil Esau Edom. All we have is this word, this truth, and our faith in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. When that all is said and done, and when these things really, are released on the public, that we're under the hedge of protection of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai for our faith and our works, and us putting our trust and faith in the Most High, man. Right? Because that's all we're going to have, man, at the end of the day. Damn it. Let me get one more. It's Halakia. Keep clearing my throat. Shit, I'm under the weather as I'm speaking. But this is Psalms 91. In 1, it says, He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, He is my refuge and my fortress, my power, in Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver from the snare of the fowler, from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler, you see. And this is all that we have with us at the end of the day. Because we know Esau Edom, the left hand, the devil is going to come with all this shit eventually at the end of the day. And the only thing that we have in this world is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, this truth, His protection, a faith in His holy names and His divine presence. You see? It says, Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence. What is a pestilence? The sicknesses, diseases that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. You see? So we cannot, we're bringing these things out to warn the people, but at the end of the day, we can't fear these things, because if we continue to fear and doubt and not believe, then then that means that we don't truly believe that the Most High is going to shield us and defend us from, all of this wickedness and this bullshit that Esau is, gonna attempt to do out here. It says, 1,000 shall fall at thy side and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Right? Because these pestilences, they saying it has a 70% mortality rate. They plan on a lot of people dropping dead from it. I mean, look how many people that the one-niner, send back to the spirit world, man. Millions and millions upon people. Shit, I know people personally that went back to the spirit world because of that one-niner. You see how much more with this shit they're talking about? They're saying it has a 70% mortality rate. So it says, read that again. It says, Thou shalt not be afraid by the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by the day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked, because thou hast made Yahweh, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling, for He shall give His angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. They shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. And thou shalt tread upon the lion and the adder, the young lion and the dragon shalt thou trample under feet, because He hath set His love upon me. Therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. You see? So like I said, all we have in our shield of protection from this is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai at the end of the day. And no amount of guns, no amount of preparing or having a bunker or getting a passport thinking you're going to go somewhere out of the country where this shit is not going to affect you is all ludicrous, man. No matter where you're at, no matter, where you may find yourself, our faith has to be in the names and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai at the end of the day. It says, He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him and show him my salvation. So, hey, we can't, be forgetting about this shit, that this is part of these elites' agenda. Like I said here, from Redacted, 2025 was a time where they said this whole seer situation was going to pop back up. And we heard Bill Gates on numerous videos say, the next one is going to get everybody's attention. Hey, and we just might be in those times and in that season for these devils to unleash this while everybody's distracted and divided with this whole C. Kirk shit and, all of this, political bullshit going on. So with that, Lord willing, this was edifying. I'm going to give all praise, honor, glory to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai. Lord willing, this was edifying. Until the next one, Shalom.